with another defensive masterclass by the whole backline of Arsenal, and they have conceded the least amount of goals in England this year. There's been a lot of discussion of just how good the centre-back partnership is of Gabriel and William Saliba. But why do I think they are the best partnership in the world, and what makes them so good? Well, let's get into it. Now, like many of you will know, football has changed a lot in the last 10 to 20 years. Instead of positions necessarily being at the top of the game, people play roles, and everyone has to be a lot more well-rounded. And positions like fullback have become even more important to the success and the attacking side of a team. This often means a lot of players can be used for their different variety of skills, and often coming in certain games and being played in strange positions, often not really having much fluidity and solidarity in the same players playing very often. Despite this, I believe that having a strong centre-back partnership is still a key way of being an elite side, and many elite teams over the last decade or before that have had a strong centre-back partnership, if that's between Piqué and Puyol for Spain, or someone like Ramos and Varane who won many Champions Leagues. And now there's lots of interpretations of what a really good partnership is, but what I mean by it is the fact that the two centre-backs can work brilliantly well together. Individually, they don't need to be the best centre-back in the world, but they need to complement each other and play a consistent amount of games for each other to actually be at this level. And partnerships are definitely beneficial for teams because they allow different players to play the role they know and be a lot more comfortable picking players up and be often able to tell what your teammate is going to do. This helps you be a lot more telepathic in movement and make the right decisions, often knowing what your teammate likes and their personal strength. And now, while I do think Gabriel and Saliba are probably in the top 5 defenders in the Premier League individually, I think next to each other they make each other much better, and I think the improvement, especially from Gabriel since Saliba has come in, has been really apparent. He no longer makes rash decisions or bad plays because maybe someone else hasn't done their job. He is often very calm, and he's always making sure the team is calmer or better in defence. He's always marking people and making sure people know where to go. And despite them still being quite young, obviously Gabriel's a bit more older now, it's still a lot of responsibility on their shoulders to be able to do this for an elite team like Arsenal. Now, straight away, I think that their setup works because Gabriel is the more aggressive defender, while Saliba can be seen as the more technical player. Now, this works because they can both do the other role if needed to be, but it's not necessarily the main sort of source. For instance, often Gabriel in the Man City game would be the one that would initiate the marking on Haaland and often try and put him off and press him and push him round so he couldn't get the ball. But they know that Haaland's a lot smarter than this, and there will be times where he will move over to the other side where Saliba is, and Gabriel simply can't be following him. He needs to track other people like De Bruyne because there will be space there, so Saliba has to take over, and there was many times where Gabriel indicated to Saliba where he would not be going over to get him and wanted Saliba to go and sort him out. This led Saliba to do the rough and tough in and sort of had to get the better of Haaland, putting him off as well and blocking his shots, doing a brilliant job at that. And Gabriel to me has always been the very aggressive guy. He's the guy that pushes out from the defence and gets cover from the midfielders where he can go and make a tackle or make midfielder not have any space and put pressure on. This is a very risky defensive tactic because if the ball goes past him, you need people like Rice to cover, but obviously because Declan Rice is a great sweeper, it's actually worked a lot this season. Gabriel is very good as well at tracking runners. He's the guy that on the whips will actually cover the fullbacks and make sure there's no passes going across. Often he will come over to help people like Kivior on his side, and Kivior will move more into the centre. Gabriel really likes defending in them angled stances. And you can tell he's the more aggressive one because at a game he has about 1.27 blocks, which is more than Saliba, and is hitting about 3 clearances per game, and Saliba's just a little bit less. He often always makes a little bit more tackles as well, but they are making around 0 to 1 a game because Arsenal simply don't need to put many tackles in when you've got Rice doing it. Before this season, one of the key differences between Gabriel and Saliba was the heading difference. Now, Saliba is a tall guy as well as Gabriel. Saliba is actually 6'4" and Gabriel is 6'3", but Gabriel is much more experienced at winning aerial duels and winning the ball in the air. He's a very good leap on him and has been the main header for Arsenal for many years. He scored a header on his debut, and since then he has scored the most goals in the Premier League from any other defenders. And this also helps Arsenal a lot defensively. Per game, he's winning nearly 3 aerial duels, very dominant in the air. This allows Arsenal to play the setup where they let teams like Man City put the ball out wide and cross the ball in. in because they've got Gabriel in there. Very physical in the air, very good at winning his headers. Before this season, that weren't Saliba's necessarily expertise. He weren't a brilliant headerer, but headers are up this season, sitting around 2 aerials per game, which is still less than Gabriel, but he's definitely improved in that regard. And while this also is a major attacking threat, I've already mentioned the goals by Gabriel, Saliba also is very tall, so he will get the ball sometimes and also score some headers. Not as much as Gabriel as he is down in that category, but that is because our system and tactics are actually set up to give Gabriel the most space because he's the best one in the air. And you can see the difference between them because Gabriel is also there for the loose balls, because he's a part of all of the conjunction in the goal mouth, being there trying to scramble the ball in. His touches in the opposing team's box are actually up at 1.13 a game, which is obviously a lot more than William Saliba's. And while Saliba can do some of the things that Gabriel can do, I don't think at the same level. It's the same the other way round. Saliba is a very quick, very technical player. Now Gabriel and Saliba make loads of passes per game. This is why they're in the team. And quite frankly, for defenders, they're making an exceptional amount of passes. Saliba does make slightly more than Gabriel, so he probably is better on the ball, especially better at progressive passes. But often that could be where the team lies and goes down the right side more than the left side, especially with the midfield problems we've had on that left side this season. Now Saliba helps Arsenal be very dominant, especially against sides when they play at the Emirates. Now we didn't see this obviously against Man City, but Saliba is a guy that if the ball is played over him or past him, he has the pace and physicality to be able to win the ball. This can be very important because Arsenal actually want to play a high line in a stretch, because this allows them to have more pressure and pen teams into the final third. This is something that Liverpool use a lot to create pressure, and they have a lot of quick players that can be able to get back and make the tackle. Now he is so good when a ball is past him, running back and sliding in. It's honestly become a bit of a trademark of Saliba. He's done it loads for France, he did it for Marseille, he's done it a lot for Arsenal. Timing of tackling and sliding, more importantly, is insane. And it helps Arsenal play against different strikers. They've got the physical nature of Gabriel and Saliba being able to stop the physical players because they're big, they're great in the air, but you've also got that idea of stopping someone that could be really quick in behind. And with the high line being so further forward, we usually play around 28 metres, even further sometimes this season. It gives Saliba enough time to be able to get back to make that tackle. Gabriel can't really do this, he's not that quick compared to Saliba, but he can still do this at a higher level. But Gabriel will most likely be the guy that initiates and Saliba's the guy that waits. Gabriel will be the main aggressor and Saliba's the guy that sweeps up, taking the ball when he needs to. And when he didn't play, when he got injured last season, it actually became a big problem for Arsenal, and they actually had to drop their line a lot deeper because obviously Rob Holding cannot do the same job, he's not as quick. This led Arsenal giving up a lot of space in the midfield and ended up being easy for teams to run past and making the balls through. And not only that, I think Saliba has a bit of an energy around him, a bit of an aura, and he's very calm in the team. He is so young at 23 but can understand the game brilliantly, and since he's come in, he's definitely calmed down Gabriel a lot, and Gabriel and him seem so cool going to these hard places such as Anfield and the Etihad and still being calm all the time. And that with the fact that Declan Rice is there, you've got Ben White there, Kivior, Raya, brilliant defenders that have really helped Arsenal, have made their defence elite. But I think their partnership is so key to that. They're very good at communicating with each other and they know the strengths and weaknesses of each player, and they are often always helping each other out, and even people like Ben White do as well. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Do you think they're the best centre-back partnership in the world, or do you think there's a better partnership? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, I recommend going to watch my video where I go in about Saliba's performance against Man City. Thank you guys for watching.